Hello, I'm so happy I got a hold of you. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2018. Now, before we get going with the brand new year, I thought it would be a great time to take a look back at what I'm saying, and going on record as saying, is probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest years in video games. We had the launch of the Switch, we had several big AAA titles come out in all systems, some indie titles that just exploded, and it's just what a great year. What a great year. So, I thought I would start this year off, after I finish my Christmas Odyssey of talking about my top 10 games of this year. And starting with number 10, I almost said number 1. Number 10 was a Metroidvania game that was recommended to me by my buddy Sean. Now, I likely wouldn't have picked it up until it got onto console, but I had the IndieBox subscription service, which, at this point, started actually being worth it in my opinion, and of course they just canceled it after they did 5 good games in a row. But it started off with the little guy known as Hollow Knight. This was a very interesting game. It took the Metroidvania formula, added on a new twist such as having to hit enemies to get your life back, and have the abilities also be the same thing as far as hitting people. Just all together, really fun game. Art style was interesting, the story was cool. Bogged down a little bit towards the end. It's it's kind of typical of Metroidvania, I'm finding, but solid entry, excellent game. I played it on the PC, and I know that there's ports coming out for PS4. I think there's even a Switch one coming out down the line. So definitely, if you like Metroidvania, you like anything like that, check out Hollow Knight. You won't be disappointed. Moving on to number 9. I didn't play the original at all, even though I had it. It's over there, still sealed. But I had to jump on Splatoon 2 when it came out. I'm not too big into shooters anymore. The last one I sank any serious time into was the original Destiny. And this was just a breath of fresh air as far as competitive multiplayer goes, because you can be the best badass killing everyone and still your team can get destroyed. So you have to balance the art of laying waste to people while at the same time covering the battlefield in paint. And I just found that a very interesting dynamic. The Switch online was working well. They're not charging you for it. Unfortunately, I didn't get much time to play it. I played it for a couple of weeks before I had to move on to the next venture. But Splatoon 2, solid entry. Anyone who has a Switch and didn't play Splatoon 1 on the Wii U, I can't really compare the two. I hear they're very similar, but this is the better version of the game. So definitely pick it up and play it if you have a Switch. Reason to buy a Switch? Probably not, but we're going to get into the other reasons why you need to own a dang Switch. So that brings us to number 8. Number 8 is a little bit of a controversial title to some people. I went on record at saying I thought this was totally worth the price, but to get in early because I had a feeling the community would die. And more or less, even though the game is still being supported, there is a little of a cult following playing the game. It's nothing like when it came at launch, which was For Honor. I love For Honor. I didn't explore as much as I would like to have. I only seriously played 2 of the 14, 13, whatever the classes are. But I played the Lawbringer and I played the Warden. And as I love to do in any games where there's a ring out possibility, that became the most fun thing for me to do in the game. Just taking people that were so serious tryhards and just saying, whoops, there you go, mate. Oh, into some spikes, mate. Oh, just so satisfying. I probably had the most fun of any multiplayer experience this year playing For Honor, just because you could go on these tears where you're hitting someone, throwing them off a ledge, another guy, you throw them into some spikes, you can hit multiple people off. They can be totally devastating you with the very interesting, I almost call it a Bushido Blade-like combat system taken to the next level. And then you can just take them and throw them off the edge, and then suddenly you win. It's a lot of fun, totally worth it. I had a blast playing it. I don't play it anymore, because, like I said, I have my fill. That's how I play games. I play them for a while until I'm done with them. This whole games with a service thing does not appeal to me. So that's why For Honor worked out perfectly. I know some people may have been disappointed. I liked it. Moving on to number 7. So number 7 was a game that I heard about, and then suddenly everyone in the world was playing it. It's not even technically out. I mean, I think it's out now, but at the time it wasn't out, and I stopped playing it months ago. But that would be PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. What a great experience. dropping down randomly. You find stuff you salvage in the houses. Every match is different, and then it progresses you with these descending circles that push the battle and make sure it doesn't bog down. I wasn't very good at it, admittedly. I'm not a very good mouse and keyboard guy. I just said I'm not a big first-person shooter person anymore, and the issue I really had is I don't have a desk still. I'm still editing on the ground, and this game definitely requires some finite movement and skill and endurance that you need a desk to do. So that's kind of what got me killed. It's not killed, but over it a while. I mean, it's fun team-based. I know I play with Rio and Mike and our other buddy, and we had a good time. They played a hell of a lot better than I did, but I did manage to pull off a couple kills. So that was good. I had a winner chicken dinner, I think, once, although I didn't really contribute to it. And yeah, solid game. I'll probably play it again if I ever get a chance to on the Xbox One. And yeah, definitely check it out. It's well worth some time. Moving on to number 6. Now this one really surprised me. I picked this up from Limited Run Games without any expectations whatsoever, knowing that the game it was remaking was supposedly terrible, just a full motion video game that no one liked. So I decided, let's do it for Halloween. Let's have Jen play it and see what she thought, since neither of us had played it. And that would be Night Trap 25th Anniversary. And I had so much fun. So much fun. I think I'm partially influenced by the fact that Jen was just having a ball, but I really enjoyed it. It was a lot more fun than I ever expected it to be. It was interactive in a good way. Now, from what I learned is that compared to the original Sega CD version, they show little movement cubes at the bottom, which I'm guessing wasn't even possible back then. But that alerts you when stuff's going on in other rooms, so you don't have to memorize it. So it's a pretty, I mean, it's not a long game, but it's, you know, it's always the same every time, except for they change the colors on you that you have to change the different code to. So even after we finished filming the Noob Gamer, we played it for another few hours. Got to a kill point, I want to say. We found the first checkpoint, which we had just gotten to the first checkpoint when we stopped. And just, I can't say enough good things about this version of the game. And there's even an option to watch the whole story without playing the game, just so you can see what's going on. So definitely, if you have a PS4 or if you're interested in this game, I know I've heard about it for years. Well worth a playthrough. Or just, I mean, it's cheap. I think it's 20 bucks or so. I really enjoyed it. And it's just good old 80s cheesy horror movie fun. Now, getting to the top 5. Now, my 5th option, I had originally moved up to my top 4. It was a recent game. It's a sequel to one of my favorite games of this generation, which was probably my game of the year back in 2013 when it came out. It's sort of a Arkham style combat mixed with Assassin's Creed in a lot of ways. And I originally had it at number 4, but I played so much that I think I was just being influenced by the fact that I put so many hours into it. Probably about 50 hours into it. And I know there's controversy with the loot boxes, but I didn't pay attention to any of that. I'm, of course, talking about Shadow of War. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, but I'm not a lore nerd. I really don't care about Celebrimbor or all the other stuff. I just love the area. I love the medieval feel, and I love decapitating orcs, which you do tons of it in this game. And once you get past the beginning stage, once you get about 10, 12 hours in, and you're kind of back to where your power level was at the end of the last game, it's just non-stop fun. Even when I had to do the end game, which after you beat the main story, there's a thing that makes you defend each one of your forts, which you have 4 of them. So each one once, and then 2 of them twice, and then 3 of them once, and then all of them at once. And you do this in 10 different stages. And once you do that, you get the last ending cutscene, and then it opens up for, you know, it's interesting. The story is really interesting, seeing what happens. It doesn't go the route you think it's going to go. As far as setting up for a sequel, I'm not sure. I'm sure they'll figure out a way to bring the story back, but what's his name, I think, is pretty much done. Italian. But solid game. If it is the end of the series, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Outside of the loot box controversy, which I was able to work around it, and I'm usually pretty good at figuring out how to not have that stuff affect me. But I do understand that some people wouldn't want to do the method I did of just, you know, if you lose a tower, you just go around and capture everyone and make them yours. So it did affect the storyline potential of the orcs. At a certain point, I just started making everyone become my teammate if I could, and if not, I just shamed them and they went away. But a lot of fun, good voice acting, just the same game as the original in a lot of ways, but improves it once you get to that certain point where you have all your power back. So Shadow of War, great game, number 5 for me. And now we're getting to the heavy hitters of this year. This is where we're taking a significant step up. Number 4 came out around the same time as another game on this list, and when I originally heard about it, I was not too excited. It looked a little, okay, another Far Cry Primal wannabe, another shoehorned in protagonist. What is this? Am I even going to care? Whoa. The more I read about it, the more I looked at that. I think the first thing was the E3 reveal of 2016 maybe, where they showed some of the gameplay, and it went immediately to the top of my PS4 list, where I just had to pick this game up. It got delayed last Christmas into the beginning of this year, which may or may not have been related to a certain Switch game coming out, but it is, of course, Horizon Zero Dawn. Phenomenal game. The combat in this game is terrific. It takes everything about a action RPG and limits it down to the basic fundamental levels of not being too overwhelming, while at the same time giving you a plethora of options at how to tackle the game. Each one of the robots has its own different way of taking it down. They have various different weak points. There's different types of, ice or fire, just different sorts of elements you can use to take things down. And other than the Skyrim-esque, BioWare-esque chat trees, which at this point I kind of am getting over, the storyline on it was, pretty predictable as far as the outside of the main story. I was enthralled with the main story of having to learn what happened to this world, why it was the way it was, and it's not just some fantasy setting. It's very much grounded in reality, which going into it I did not expect. And the storyline in this game it was the best storyline of any game this year, in my opinion. Where it fell short as far as being my top 3 is just other various reasons. Like I said, the chat trees got a little tiresome. Some of the side quests were just there to just give you something to do. Not everything felt integral, but when you found some of those places where you could unlock various different clues to the world, it was very, very enthralling. So Horizon Zero Dawn is my number 4 of the year and my number 1 PS4 game of the year by far. Alright, so now we're moving to the top 3. Well, surprise, surprise, I am a Nintendo fanboy, and my top 3 are all Switch games. So, where do they all fall? This is really difficult. I really didn't know. Even right now, I'm not sure where I'm going on it, but I think I'm solid with the picks I'm going to do. So, my number 3, which might surprise some people, it was a return to form for a long-running series that goes back 20 years. One of the first experiences I had of a game that I bought that was mine, and I got to show off to everyone, was Mario 64. And Super Mario Odyssey brought me right back. I felt like I was 10 years old again, going around the world, exploring, finding stuff. It's what Yooka-Laylee was trying to do, in my opinion, and it just nailed it. Now, I know some people complain, some of the moons were too easy to find. There's not as many worlds as we wanted. The hub, it's everything that you could have wanted. Sure, it's not perfect. There's things they could have done differently, but at the end of the day, I put 35 hours into it. I found over 700 something moons. I beat the hardest level. I'm not gonna go through going crazy and finding everything. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm a finisher. I'm not a completionist. But Mario Odyssey, just well done, Nintendo. The nostalgia throwbacks, the various different mechanics, just everything was perfect in this game. And Cappy, I'm looking forward to seeing them make a Mario Odyssey 2, because the mechanic of Cappy being able to dive, jump off him, and then dive again, which I didn't figure out till almost at the end of the game, led to so much platforming goodness, and I loved it. I really loved it. Phenomenal game. For a lot of people, it'll be the game of the year, but for me, the other 2 games on my list pull on my genre heartstrings a lot more. So that brings us to number 2. Now, this is a game that just came out of nowhere. I had no idea what it was about. I saw a leaked screenshot and I thought, oh god, why them? I hate the stupid frickin' Rabbids, but man, oh man, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle was my surprise hit of the year, if not of the whole decade. I did not see this coming at all. Everyone knows what a huge fan of XCOM I am. The reason why I got back in the modern games for the it was because of XCOM 2. I streamed that whole damn thing last year, and Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle was what makes XCOM good in a much more approachable yet still strategic level that was just constantly fun. I actually 100%ed this outside of getting a few collectibles, but I 100%ed all the missions, all of the everything I could find outside of a few of the random treasure boxes that I just didn't care about, and I absolutely loved this game. So much fun. If you're not into turn-based tactical games, you're probably not going to feel as much joy for this as I did. I know the reviews when they came out, I did not agree with at all. This is not an 8. This is not an 8 at all. I give it a 9.5, 9.25 at least. But I digress. Mario Rabbids was just so much fun. Each one of the characters had their own diverse uses. The way you approached the battle would change depending on who you brought in your party. And every combination would work, but you would find certain combinations work better in certain party configurations. And you get to the point where you learn the matches so well that you can just dominate. And I found that very, very fun. And it doesn't have the same stress. If you lose someone, they're not dead forever. And surprise, surprise, number one, arguably one of the greatest games of all time already. I'm with you guys. It hasn't replaced my favorite Zelda game. I don't think anything ever will. But Breath of the Wild is definitely up there. I'd say I'm going Link to the Past, Zelda 2, and you know, it's a toss-up, this and Ocarina of Time. But it is well in my top 5. Such a treat. The way I played the game is so unique to just so unique to me, that I saw another guy that I really like, and he did a completely opposite way of doing it. And it's just, I wish I could go back into this game blind again. That's just how much fun it was. It was very reminiscent of the first few days of Skyrim, where you're going to say, hey, I want to walk in this direction and find anything. But with the combat, the puzzles, the breaking of weapons, I really enjoyed, because I took down one of the major tests of strength early on. My whole goal was to uncover the whole map, find shrines along the way. And in doing that, I found the major test of strength, and I managed to take him down using strength potions and other things. And from that, I got a hugely powerful weapon that I was able to then crush things that I may not have been able to. And that just set me off on the right path through the whole game. The fact that the Master Sword breaks, whatever, it recharges in 10 minutes, and it's really not the best weapon to use in every scenario. It's really good against certain enemies. So you're not coming across those enemies all the time, doesn't matter. Ganon being a pushover, sure, but that's after you put 40-50 hours into the game getting stronger, so that you should be able to crush him. And even still, I found the ending very satisfying. You have to find the pictures, you have to uncover the story, because that's where the story is. There's not much story outside of it. The fact that you can do anything at any time, I think, borrows from Link Between Worlds design philosophy. Sure, this game is nice as an albatross, but moving to a sequel, I would like to see some of the Zelda tropes come back. I did miss things like the hook shot. I thought 4 temples, yeah, I could use some more. But 10 out of 10. All day long, 10 out of 10. Game of the year. It already won Game of the Year, which thank God it did. But yeah, Breath of the Wild, such a great game. You need to experience it. If you're a Zelda fan of any types, you need to play it. So that's my top 10. I know that I haven't played everything this year, so I didn't get a chance to do Resident Evil 7, Cuphead, Destiny 2, Waifu Blade Chronicles 2. So I know I'm missing out on the Persona 5. I'm missing out on some things that probably would have been on the list if I'd had a chance to get to it, but I don't have much time to play modern games. And I hope you enjoyed the list. So it's been so nice getting a hold of you. Take care.